Do you know why most people are broke, even when they earn well? It's not bad luck, it's bad money habits. Every dollar that slips through your fingers without control is pushing you closer to financial stress, but here's the truth: managing your expenses isn't about being rich, it's about being smart. And today, I'll show you 5 powerful steps to finally take control of your money before your money controls you. Understanding your cash flow is the very first step toward mastering personal expense management, and it is often the most overlooked. Many people think they know how much they earn and spend, but when asked to provide exact numbers, they usually fall short. Cash flow isn't just about knowing your salary or your monthly bills. It's about having a clear picture of every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out, no matter how small. Without this awareness, any financial plan is built on shaky ground. To begin, think of cash flow like the lifeblood of your financial health. Imagine trying to stay physically healthy without knowing what you eat or how much you move each day. It would be almost impossible to make meaningful improvements. The same is true with money. If you don't know where your money is going, you can't make better choices. This is why the habit of tracking is so powerful. Even though it might sound tedious, the act of writing down your expenses or recording them in an app changes your relationship with money. You become more conscious. Let's take a simple example. Suppose you earn $2,000 a month. You pay $800 for rent, $200 for utilities, $300 for groceries, and $100 for transportation. On paper, that leaves you with $600, but in reality, by the end of the month, you often find yourself with nothing left. Where did the money go? This is the mystery that cash flow tracking solves. Maybe you realize that $150 went to coffee shops, $100 to online shopping, $80 to late-night food deliveries, and $70 to streaming services you barely use. Suddenly, the invisible becomes visible. The moment you start documenting every transaction, patterns emerge. Some expenses are predictable, like rent or a phone bill. Others are variable, like dining out or buying clothes. These variable expenses are often where financial leaks occur. By understanding your cash flow, you identify those leaks and gain the power to decide whether they align with your values and goals. For example, maybe coffee shops are not just caffeine stops but social hubs for you. In that case, you might keep that expense but adjust elsewhere. The goal isn't to cut everything, but to align spending with what truly matters to you. Tracking also helps you prepare for irregular expenses, which many people forget about: annual insurance premiums. Holiday gifts, car maintenance, or medical checkups don't happen every month, but when they do, they can throw your budget off balance. By analyzing your cash flow over several months, you can anticipate these costs and set aside money in advance. This prevents panic and reliance on credit cards when those moments arrive. Another important part of understanding cash flow is looking at the timing of money movement. For instance, if you get paid once a month but your bills are scattered throughout, you need to ensure that money is available at the right time. Some people experience stress not because they earn too little, but because they don't align their income with their payment schedule. Awareness allows you to smooth this out, perhaps by automating payments or creating a buffer account. There's also the psychological effect of awareness. When you know your numbers, you gain confidence. Money becomes less scary because you're no longer in the dark. Instead of vaguely feeling "I can't afford it," you can clearly say, "I've allocated $100 for leisure this month, and I've already used $70. That leaves $30. This level of precision reduces stress and guilt because you're making informed decisions rather than reacting blindly. For those who struggle with discipline, technology is an incredible ally. Countless apps can connect to your bank accounts, categorize expenses, and generate reports. Some even provide alerts when you overspend in a category. But even with these tools, the key is not automation alone, it's mindfulness, the act of Reviewing those reports, asking yourself why, and adjusting accordingly is where growth happens. It's also useful to recognize that cash flow tracking is not about punishment. It's about freedom. Think of it like a map. If you don't know where you are, how can you know where to go? By mapping out your financial reality, you're no longer wandering. You have direction, even if your income is modest. Understanding your cash flow empowers you to make the most of it. You might discover opportunities to save more than you thought possible, or you might realize you can redirect money towards something that brings greater joy or progress. Finally, understanding. Cash flow lays the foundation for every other financial improvement: budgeting, saving, investing, and even achieving financial independence. Without this first step, all other strategies risk collapsing because they rest on assumptions rather than facts. It's like building a house on sand instead of rock. Once you master this awareness, you'll notice how much easier it becomes to set goals, stick to a budget, and plan for the future. So, if you do just one thing to improve your personal finances, let it be this: start tracking. Write it down in a notebook, create a spreadsheet, or use an app. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, like shining a flashlight into a messy room. But over time, that light will reveal order, clarity, and control, and once you know your cash flow inside and out, you can begin to truly manage your money rather than letting it manage you. Applying financial allocation rules is where the abstract idea of managing money better becomes concrete. Once you've built awareness of your cash flow, you need a system that organizes your income into purposeful categories. Without such a framework, even the most disciplined individual can fall into impulsive spending or vague budgeting. A good allocation rule is like a roadmap. It ensures that your money is always directed toward the priorities that matter most, while still leaving room for flexibility and enjoyment. One of the most popular systems is the 50-30-20 rule. It suggests allocating 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or debt repayment. At first glance, this seems simple, but its real power lies in clarity. Needs include essentials like rent, utilities, food, and basic transportation. Wants cover dining out, vacations, streaming services, or hobbies. Savings represent not just traditional savings accounts, but also investments, retirement funds, or paying down high-interest debt. By dividing your money this way, you create guardrails that prevent overspending in one area at the expense of another. However, not everyone's life fits neatly into this formula. For instance, someone living in a high-cost city might find that rent alone consumes 50% of their income. In such cases, the rule serves as a guideline, not a rigid command. You can adjust it to reflect your reality. For example, 60/20, 20, or even 70/20, 10 if necessary. The important part is to keep the proportions intentional, ensuring that savings and debt repayment always receive dedicated attention, no matter how small. Another effective framework is the 6-jar method, made famous by author T. Harv Eker. In this system, you divide your income into 6 categories: necessities 55%, financial freedom 10%, education 10%, long-term savings 10%, play 10%, and giving 5%. While the percentages can be customized, the principle is powerful. Money should flow into multiple jars simultaneously. This prevents the common mistake of saving whatever is left at the end of the month, because more often than not, nothing is left. Instead, you're prioritizing savings and investments from the start, even if it's a small percentage. The 6-jar method also emphasizes balance. Life isn't just about hoarding money or restricting yourself endlessly. That's why there's a play jar specifically for guilt-free fun, whether it's going to the movies, buying a new gadget, or treating yourself to a fancy dinner. By giving yourself permission to enjoy money in moderation, you reduce the temptation to splurge recklessly. Similarly, the education jar reflects the idea that investing in yourself through courses, books, or workshops is just as important as paying bills. Allocation rules also help create a mental shift from scarcity to abundance. When you know that a portion of your money is already assigned to savings, you stop seeing saving as a sacrifice and start seeing it as a routine. The same goes for giving. Even if it's only 5% or less, setting aside money for charity or helping others builds a sense of fulfillment and reminds you that money is a tool for impact, not just survival. To implement these systems effectively, automation is your best friend. Many people fail not because they lack willpower, but because they rely on it too heavily. Imagine receiving your paycheck and manually transferring money into 5 or 6 accounts every month. It's easy to forget or skip when life gets busy. But if you set up automatic transfers on payday, one for savings, one for investments, one for bills, you remove the decision-making process entirely. The system works in the background, and all you have to manage is what remains. The real strength of financial allocation rules is that they protect you from lifestyle inflation. As your income grows, so do your expenses unless you have boundaries in place. For example, if you earn $2,000 a month and save 20%, that's $400. If your salary increases to $3,000 and you keep the same 20%, you're saving $600. The system scales with your income automatically. Without such rules, most people unconsciously spend the extra money on luxuries, and their financial situation doesn't improve. Critics of these allocation models often argue that life is unpredictable and rigid rules can feel restrictive. But flexibility is built into the system. If you have a month with unusual expenses, you can temporarily adjust the percentages as long as you return to the baseline later. The point isn't perfection, it's consistency over time. Following a structured plan, even loosely, creates significant results. Let's put this into a scenario. Imagine Sarah, a young professional who earns $2,500 per month. She adopts the 50-30-20 rule. That means $1,250 for needs, $750 for wants, and $500 for savings. Initially, she struggles to fit her lifestyle into those numbers, especially the wants category. But after a few months, she realizes that setting a hard limit forces her to prioritize. Instead of eating out 4 times a week, she cuts it to 2 and uses the rest for a short weekend trip. Meanwhile, her savings steadily accumulate to $1,500 after just 3 months. Sarah's lifestyle didn't drastically change, but her financial security grew noticeably. These allocation methods aren't just about money, they're about values and control. They force you to answer key questions. What are your true needs? What luxuries bring real joy, and which are just mindless habits? How much do you value your future security versus present pleasure? By dividing your income intentionally, you confront these choices every month, and over time, your financial decisions align with the life you actually want to live. Ultimately, financial allocation rules are less about math and more about discipline. They give structure to your spending, ensuring that your goals don't get lost in the chaos of daily life. With a rule in place, whether 50-30ths, 26 jars, or your own variation, you're no longer reacting to money as it comes and goes. You're leading it, directing it with purpose, and in doing so, you transform your finances from something uncertain and stressful into something clear, predictable, and empowering. Controlling spending by distinguishing between needs and wants is one of the most essential yet challenging aspects of personal finance. At first glance, the difference seems obvious. Needs are essentials like food, shelter, and health care, while wants are luxuries like designer clothes, new gadgets, or frequent vacations. But in practice, the line often blurs. People justify wants as needs, convincing themselves that they must have a new phone or that dining out is necessary for social reasons. This slippery slope is where many budgets collapse, and where clarity and discipline can completely transform your financial life. To start, it's important to define what truly qualifies as a need. Needs are expenses required to sustain your basic standard of living: housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and health care. Without these, your daily life would be disrupted. Wants, on the other hand, enhance comfort, enjoyment, or status but aren't required for survival. A car, for example, might be a need if you live in an area with no public transport, but if you buy a luxury SUV instead of a modest sedan, the difference is a want. The distinction isn't always black and white, but being honest with yourself is crucial. The psychology of spending makes this distinction complicated. Advertising and social influence constantly blur the boundaries, making wants feel like needs. Companies spend billions crafting campaigns that trigger emotions: desire, belonging, even fear of missing out. When you see friends posting their vacations on social media, you might suddenly feel like traveling abroad is a necessity to keep up. Recognizing these influences is the first step toward resisting them. Awareness acts as armor against the constant pressure to consume. A practical technique to control spending is the pause and question method. Before making any non-essential purchase, pause and ask yourself, do I need this or do I just want it? Will this purchase improve my life meaningfully in the long term, or is it just a short-term impulse? Sometimes, simply delaying a purchase by 24 or 48 hours reveals whether it's a genuine need or a fleeting desire. More often than not, the urgency fades and you save money by choosing not to buy. Another effective strategy is to create a priority hierarchy. Not all wants are bad. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and spending money on leisure or hobbies can be valuable for happiness and mental health. The key is prioritization. For instance, if travel brings you deep fulfillment, you might allocate more money to it while cutting back on less meaningful wants like frequent online shopping. By ranking your wants, you avoid scattering money across trivial expenses and instead focus on those that truly enrich your life. Budgeting frameworks can help enforce this discipline. One approach is the needs versus wants ledger. Each month, list all your expenses and categorize them strictly. Rent goes under needs, streaming subscriptions might fall under wants. Groceries are needs, but gourmet coffee shop visits likely count as wants. Over time, patterns emerge, and you can evaluate whether your spending reflects your values. If wants dominate your budget while savings suffer, you know adjustments are needed. There's also the concept of substitution. Instead of cutting out wants completely, find lower-cost alternatives. For example, if dining out 3 times a week is draining your wallet, reduce it to once a week and cook at home with friends the other nights. If you crave the excitement of new clothes, try thrift shopping instead of buying brand new. Substitutions allow you to enjoy life while keeping spending in check. This mindset shift makes budgeting feel less like deprivation and more like creative problem solving. One overlooked aspect of controlling spending is understanding emotional triggers. Many people shop not because they need items, but because they're stressed, bored, or seeking validation. Recognizing these triggers can prevent unnecessary spending. For instance, if you notice you shop online late at night when you're tired, create a rule: no online purchases after 9 p.m. If stress drives you to splurge, replace the habit with healthier coping mechanisms like exercising, journaling, or calling a friend. By addressing the emotional roots of spending, you reduce the urge to misclassify wants as needs. An important benefit of mastering the needs versus wants distinction is how it empowers your future. Every dollar you save by resisting unnecessary wants becomes fuel for your goals, whether that's building an emergency fund, investing for retirement, or saving for a house. In this sense, saying no to a want isn't just about sacrifice. It's about saying yes to something bigger and more meaningful later. When you frame it this way, the discipline feels rewarding rather than restrictive. Let's consider an example. Imagine Alex, who earns $3,000 a month. His rent, utilities, groceries, and transportation total $1,500. These are non-negotiable needs, but Alex spends another $1,200 on dining out, new clothes, and gadgets, leaving only $300 for savings. He often complains that he can't afford to save. By tracking his expenses and honestly distinguishing wants from needs, Alex realizes that if he cut dining out in half and limited gadget purchases, he could free up $600. That money could double his savings without lowering his standard of living just by redefining priorities. Of course, balance is key. Life shouldn't feel like a prison of austerity. Allowing yourself some wants creates joy and motivation. The danger lies in letting wants masquerade as needs until they consume your budget. Once you practice separating the two categories and aligning your spending with your values, you gain both freedom and control. Instead of being driven by impulses or social pressure, you become intentional with every purchase. In the long run, the ability to distinguish between needs and wants isn't just a financial skill, it's a life skill. It teaches self-awareness, discipline, and the art of delayed gratification. It reshapes how you think about happiness, showing that joy doesn't come from constant consumption but from mindful choices and alignment with your goals. When you master this principle, you'll discover that financial stability and personal fulfillment often go hand in hand. Leveraging technology for money management is one of the smartest steps you can take in today's digital age. In the past, managing personal finances required tedious manual tracking, writing expenses in notebooks, tallying numbers on calculators, or trying to keep mental records. While these methods still work, they're inefficient and prone to human error. Now, with a vast array of apps, tools, and automated systems available, you can streamline the process, save time, and gain deeper insights into your financial habits. Technology doesn't just record numbers, it analyzes, predicts, and reminds you, transforming financial management from a burden into a supportive partner. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools is the expense tracking app. Applications like Mint, YNAB, You Need a Budget, Pocket Guard, or local banking apps allow you to link your bank accounts and credit cards directly. Every transaction is automatically recorded, categorized, and displayed in an easy-to-understand dashboard. Instead of manually typing in coffee for $, lunch $10, the app does it for you. Over time, you can see trends like how much you spend on dining out versus groceries, or whether your transportation costs spike during certain months. This visibility creates awareness, which is the foundation of change. Another major advantage of technology is automation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is saving what's left after spending. This usually results in nothing being saved at all. Automation solves that problem by reversing the process. You save first, then spend what's left. Most banks allow you to set up automatic transfers to savings accounts or investment platforms on payday. The moment your salary arrives, a fixed percentage is moved elsewhere, removing temptation. You don't have to rely on willpower each month. Technology handles it consistently and quietly. Beyond savings, automation also applies to bill payments. Missing payments often results in late fees, penalties, or damage to your credit score. Setting up automatic payments ensures that recurring expenses, rent, utilities, subscriptions, insurance are paid on time. Every time, it eliminates stress, prevents oversight, and frees mental energy for more meaningful financial decisions. You still need to review your accounts to avoid errors, but automation reduces the chance of costly slip-ups. Technology also offers budgeting assistance. Many apps let you create spending categories with specific limits. For instance, you can set $300 for groceries, $150 for entertainment, and $100 for transportation. As you spend, the app updates in real time, showing how much remains in each category. Some apps even send alerts when you approach or exceed your Limit. This real-time feedback is invaluable. It's like having a financial coach in your pocket, nudging you to stay on track. Another way technology helps is through goal tracking. Let's say you want to save $5,000 for an emergency fund or $10,000 for a down payment on a house. Financial apps allow you to set these goals and monitor progress visually. Watching the bar fill up month by month provides motivation and a sense of achievement. It turns abstract goals into tangible milestones, making it easier to stay disciplined. For those ready to go beyond saving, technology opens doors to investing. Platforms like Robinhood, Acorns, or Stash, depending on your country, make investing accessible to beginners. Some apps even invest your spare change automatically, rounding up transactions to the nearest dollar and placing the difference into an investment account. This micro-investing approach allows people to start building wealth without needing large sums of money. Advanced platforms also provide insights, research, and robo-advisors that suggest portfolios based on your risk tolerance. Technology also supports financial education. Podcasts, YouTube channels, online courses, and blogs provide endless free resources to help you understand money better. Apps like Audible or Blinkist offer condensed financial book summaries for people who don't have time to read entire volumes. Communities on Reddit or financial forums allow you to share experiences, ask questions, and learn from others' mistakes. In essence, the internet democratizes knowledge, ensuring that anyone with curiosity can become financially literate. However, it's important to recognize that technology is a tool, not a magic solution. Using 5 different apps but never checking them won't improve your finances. Over-reliance on automation without awareness can also lead to complacency. For example, if subscriptions are automated, you might forget you're paying for services you no longer use. Therefore, periodic reviews are essential. Set aside time monthly to examine reports, adjust categories, and ensure your system reflects your current reality. Privacy and security are other considerations. Linking bank accounts to apps requires trust. Always choose reputable platforms with strong encryption and authentication. Avoid sharing sensitive information on unreliable websites and enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. Technology enhances convenience, but caution is necessary to protect yourself from fraud or identity theft. Let's consider a practical scenario. Emma, a college graduate with her first full-time job, struggles to save. She downloads a budgeting app, connects her accounts, and sets goals: $3,000 for an emergency fund in 1 year. The app tracks her progress, alerts her when she overspends on dining out, and celebrates milestones as her balance grows. She also sets up automatic transfers of $250 each month directly into a high-yield savings account. Within a year, Emma achieves her goal almost effortlessly because technology removed friction and provided accountability. The beauty of technology in money management is that it empowers people to take control with minimal effort. It turns daunting tasks into manageable ones, translating numbers into visuals and reminders. More importantly, it shifts the focus from reaction to prevention. Instead of scrambling at the end of the month, you're proactively guiding your finances. Over time, these small automated systems compound into significant progress. Ultimately, leveraging technology is about making the smart choice the easy choice. Humans are prone to forgetfulness, emotional spending, and procrastination. Apps, automation, and digital resources provide guardrails that keep us aligned with our goals, even when willpower falters. By embracing these tools thoughtfully and consistently, you transform personal finance from a source of stress into a system that quietly works in your favor day after day. Building long-term financial habits is the cornerstone of sustainable money management. While budgeting apps, allocation rules, and spending controls are powerful tools, none of them matter if they aren't supported by consistent, repeatable behaviors. Habits are the invisible architecture of daily life. They determine whether you live paycheck to paycheck or steadily build security and wealth. The key is not one-time actions, but small choices compounded over years. Just as brushing your teeth prevents cavities, financial habits protect your future. The first habit to cultivate is setting clear monthly goals for saving and investing. Vague intentions like "I'll try to save more" rarely succeed. Instead, decide on a specific percentage or dollar amount you commit to each month. For example, I will save 15% of my income and invest 10%. These numbers don't have to be large at the beginning. Even saving $50 consistently builds discipline and momentum. Over time, as your income grows, you can increase the amount. What matters is consistency, not perfection. Alongside saving, maintaining an emergency fund should be a permanent habit. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, jobs are lost, medical emergencies arise. Without a financial cushion, people are forced to rely on debt, which can quickly spiral into crisis. Experts often recommend 3 to 6 months' worth of essential expenses in an accessible savings account. Building this fund takes time, but treating it as non-negotiable ensures you're never blindsided. Think of it as a safety net that allows you to walk the tightrope of life with confidence. Another vital habit is tracking and reviewing finances regularly. Even if you use automation, it's crucial to check in. Set aside time weekly or monthly to review your spending, savings, and goals. Ask yourself, did I stick to my plan? Where did I overspend? What can I adjust next month? This reflection keeps you accountable and prevents drift. Without regular review, small leaks can turn into major financial holes. Just as athletes watch replays to improve performance, you must review your financial game tape. Equally important is practicing delayed gratification. This habit extends beyond money. It's a mindset shift. Instead of chasing instant rewards, you learn to wait for greater returns later. In finance, this translates to resisting impulsive purchases in favor of long-term goals. For example, choosing to invest $200 instead of buying a new gadget can compound into thousands of dollars over time. This doesn't mean you never indulge, but it means you weigh today's pleasures against tomorrow's security. The discipline of waiting builds not just wealth, but also character. Automating good behaviors is another long-term strategy. Automation turns habits into defaults, reducing reliance on willpower. By setting up automatic transfers to savings or investments, scheduling bill payments, and using spending alerts, you make smart choices effortless. Over time, these automated routines become invisible habits, part of your financial DNA. You don't think about them, but they continuously work in your favor. It's also essential to invest in self-education. Financial literacy is not a one-time lesson, but a lifelong habit. Markets evolve, tax laws change, and new investment opportunities emerge. By reading books, listening to podcasts, or following credible financial experts, you stay informed and adaptable. Education empowers you to make confident decisions instead of blindly following advice. More importantly, it reinforces the habit of curiosity, asking questions before spending or investing, rather than acting on impulse. A habit often underestimated is celebrating milestones. Financial discipline can feel heavy if it's all about restriction. Acknowledging progress, whether reaching your first $1,000 in savings or paying off a debt, reinforces motivation. Small rewards along the way make the journey enjoyable, ensuring you don't burn out. For example, after hitting a savings milestone, treat yourself modestly. The act of celebrating anchors the positive behavior in your mind, making it easier to continue. Another cornerstone habit is living below your means. This doesn't mean living miserably or denying yourself joy. It means choosing a lifestyle that costs less than your income, regardless of how much you earn. Many people fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. As income rises, expenses rise in equal measure. By resisting this, you create surplus income to channel into savings and investments. This habit, practiced over decades, is the foundation of financial independence. Finally, one of the most transformative habits is regularly revisiting your long-term vision. Why are you managing money in the first place? Is it to retire early, travel the world, support family, or start a business? By connecting daily habits to your larger vision, you give them meaning. Saving and budgeting stop feeling like chores and start feeling like steps toward your dream life. This mental alignment is what sustains habits for the long haul. Let's consider a real-life example. Daniel, a teacher earning a modest salary, decided to build financial habits in his 20s. He automated 15% of his income into a retirement account, tracked his spending monthly, and committed to living slightly below his means. Over 10 years, without drastic sacrifices, his savings grew steadily. By his mid-30s, he had an emergency fund, a growing investment portfolio, and freedom from debt. What gave him this stability wasn't luck or sudden wealth, it was habits, repeated consistently over time. The beauty of financial habits is that they compound. At first, saving $100 a month might not feel like much, but after a year, it's $1,200. After 10 years, with growth, it could be $20,000 or more. The longer you maintain the habit, the greater the rewards. And just like bad habits compound negatively, credit card debt, overspending, neglecting savings, good habits compound positively, creating stability, freedom, and peace of mind. Ultimately, building long-term financial habits isn't about deprivation, it's about empowerment. It's about designing a life where money supports your goals instead of controlling them. When saving, investing, and reviewing become second nature, you no longer struggle with money anxieties. Instead, you move through life with confidence, knowing that your habits are quietly working in the background, shaping a secure and fulfilling future. Now you know the 5 key steps to master your personal expenses. Remember, small changes today can lead to big financial freedom tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about which tip you'll start applying first, and let's grow smarter with money together.